Well, hello, this is Cedric coming at you again today. You know, fear has been resonating with me a lot lately. I've talked to several people, and fear has been binding them up. And I want to talk with you a little bit about fear. But before I dive into it, I want to tell you the story about this barber that just operated in fear. And he was full of fear and negativity. And one day he was talking with one of his customers, and the customer said, "Hey, I'm going to Italy tomorrow." And the barber said, "Oh, I used to live in Rome." He asked, "So, what airline carrier are you going to fly on?" And the customer told him what airline carrier. And the barber said, "Oh, no, not that carrier. That's the worst carrier." He says, "They're always late. Their safety record is not good. The seats on the plane are uncomfortable. Oh, man, it's going to be a rough flight for you." Now, the barber then asked, "So what hotel are you staying at?" And the customer tells him the name of the hotel, and he thought it was a nice hotel, but the barber replied, "Oh boy, not that one." He goes, "I know that hotel, and the service is terrible." He says, "I just hope that you get towels. I just hope that you get towels." Now, that was disheartening to the customer, but the barber asks, he says, "So what are you going to do when you get there?" The customer replies, "So we're going to have a sales meeting, and we're going to present our sales plan, and we're hoping that it's going to do very well. We're hoping to make a lot of sales." Now the barber says, "Oh no, you don't know Italians. They don't buy. They talk a lot, but they don't buy." Now the customer is starting to feel very low and unconfident, and he starts sliding down in his chair, and you could see the disappointment on his face. And then he mumbled the word Pope. Now the barber took that and said, "Hey, wait, did you say Pope?" And the customer replied, "Yes." The barber asked, "Well, what about the Pope?" And the customer said, "Since I was there, I was hoping to be able to see the Pope." Now the barber, he really got excited on this one. He says, "Oh no, you don't understand. The Pope only sees important people. You're not going to be able to see the Pope while you're there. You don't really understand." Now a month later, the guy comes back into the barber shop, and the barber asks him, "Hey, didn't you go to Italy?" He goes, "Well, how was the trip?" And the customer said, "Wow, it was the most amazing trip of my life." He said, "The airline you talked about was awesome." He said that they were on time. My luggage made it. The landing was great. In fact, he said the landing was so good that the flight attendant had to wake me up when we landed because I was asleep. Now, the hotel that you talked about, he goes, "Man, let me tell you, when I walked in to register," he said that they were all standing at the counter waiting for me with fresh towels. He said it was awesome, the best trip. He said, "I could see the Vatican from my balcony." He said, "The Italians loved it so much, they've already placed orders, and I have to go back there in another month." He said, "This was the best sales meeting I've ever had." Now, he went on to say, he says, "The highlight of my trip was I got to see the Pope." And the barber got so excited, he said, "Wait a minute, you got to see the Pope?" He said, "You have to tell me about it." He says, "I never knew anyone who saw the Pope." He said, "Well, see, they brought me in this long room. I walked up the aisle with red carpet and gilded gold, and was everywhere. And as I got closer to the Pope, I felt more and more humble." He says, "Once I got in front of him, I just fell to my knees and I bowed down. Now, he put his hands out and he kissed his ring." He said, "He put his hands out and I kissed his ring. I shouted out, 'Your Holiness, Your Holiness.' He put his hands on my head and to bless me, and he looked and looked at both sides of my head, and he said, 'My son, where did you get such a lousy haircut?'" Now, you see, the moral of the story is people are going to try to discourage you. People are going to tell you all the horrors of life, and they're going to try to get you afraid, and fear will bind you up. And if you live in a constancy of fear, if you let fear bind you up, it's going to stop you from reaching your goals. It's going to stop you from reaching your dreams. It's going to stop you from going to a higher level. So I'm encouraging you. I'm asking you. I'm pleading with you to please don't let fear bind you up. Don't let fear hold you back from being who you're destined to be. See, God has already ordained you to be great. He's already ordained you to be somebody magnificent. You see, because he doesn't make any human being with less than perfection. So you need to let fear go, kick it out, and say no more. Say to yourself, I'm not going to let fear bind me up anymore. Just say it right now. Put a stake in the ground and tell yourself, I'm never going to let fear bind me up. I'm not going to make processes more complicated than I can so that I can start right now. You see, if you can't start something new right now, it's not the right process. It's too complicated. It's too complex. And that's fear that's binding you up, that's holding you from reaching your destiny. So I'm encouraging you, I'm enticing you, hopefully I'm inspiring you to let fear go. Don't let it bind you up. Don't let it hold you back from your real destiny. Fear causes procrastination. And John Miller of QBQ says, procrastination is the friend of failure. Don't let failure be in your story. You see, you don't want to go to the graveyard with all your dreams because you were afraid to fail. You were afraid to try it. You see the water behind me. Those fish swim every day. And they're going to go a new place every single day. They're not worried about what's ahead, what's behind them. They're just swimming freely. That's the way you should be, because God has destined you to be free. So you should be swimming freely through your business plan, through your life plan, through your life's journey. Don't let fear bind you up. Click the link below if you need help getting over your fears. I'd love to talk with you. You might want to come to the beach and let's have a conversation. Thank you, and hopefully I'll see you at the top.